Um, cool. Yeah. So this is like, I guess this is kind of like a wrap on our first series of hacking sessions, where the idea was basically to go through the whole process of using the Ocean marketplace and like training an algorithm, um, like publishing a data set on the marketplace, training an algorithm using like compute to data, and then publishing the algorithm. And then once we had like developed the algorithm, the plan was to launch a DAO. And so the DAO would own the algorithm, and then we could, direct some value generated by the algorithm. We could have governance over it. We could have votes. People could decide like where the value should go and all this sort of stuff, just as an interesting experiment. And so, yeah, we've kind of developed the algorithm now. We've published it on the marketplace, and we're working on spinning out the DAO. And so, like I was saying in the Discord, we wanted to give everyone the chance to like join the hacking session, and then after this hacking session, we're going to close the contributions for that first algorithm, I guess, and then we'll have our group. Oh, did I lose you? I got a phone number ringing here. Sorry. Okay. This is my girlfriend's laptop. So yeah, we're gonna spin up the DAO, and everyone who's contributed so far is gonna get membership tokens of the DAO, and then I don't know. I guess we can hold like our first meeting with the group and figure out like what the governance structure should look like, for example. I think there's like lots of different ways we could do it, and we don't want to kind of give it top down. We want to get as much input from people about how we should run an algorithm DAO. And so, yeah, like we have some ideas about how that might work, but we want to like do it together as a community. So I think we're going to close contributions on like Sunday. So people can contribute over the weekend to the GitHub still, and then maybe after that we'll start the DAO, and then like maybe during that week or the following week, or maybe January actually at this stage, I guess maybe we can hold our first like meeting as a DAO of contributors to this algorithm and figure out like what are the good next steps for developing the algorithm further, or like commercializing it and all of this sort of stuff. And so that kind of leads me to like what today's session is going to be about. We're going to talk about like app building and stuff. So how can we make it easier for people to use our algorithm? And so like, does that involve building a whole web app, or can we like put up an app on Hugging Face Spaces? Or like, and what can we do with the NFT side as well? Like, should we put up the output images on an NFT marketplace? And so I'm really interested to get like Casey's input on this, just because he has like he's built an app for his own project, and also is like quite familiar with NFTs. And then Robin as well was talking about some really interesting ideas about using like a data portal that Data Union have developed. And so people could like upvote like interesting images and stuff like this. So I'm looking forward to getting into that more. But maybe first we can have a round of intros, just so that everyone knows each other. And so I'll go first. So I'm Richard. I have a background as a machine learning engineer, and then like I guess like coming up to 2 months ago, quit my job to work on Algovera full time. And the idea behind Algovera is that we want to like push for decentralized AI, because we saw lots of issues with the way tech companies are using AI and stuff like that. And we wanted to explore whether we could develop AI as a decentralized group. So yeah, that's me. Maybe I'll pass to Hitesh.
Hey everyone, my name is Hitesh. I sort of have a background in technical and commercial experience. I'm a full stack developer focusing more on Web3 now. I'm currently doing my master's in computer science over in the UK and the University of Bath. And I started the project with Richard, and he sort of mentioned a little bit about the Algovera, so I'll skip that. But yeah, excited to be here and work on the progress of Algovera. I guess I'll pass it over to Keaton.
Awesome. Thanks, Tesh. Hey, folks, I'm Keaton. I am just recently transitioned to a full-time core team member at Algovera. I recently left my job as an operations lead at a tech company here in Boston, Massachusetts, in the US, which is where I currently live. I have, like I said, background in operations and politics. My undergrad's in political science. And also I'm a full stack dev focusing on Web3 right now as well. Cool, I guess I will pass it off to Jakub.
Hi everyone, I'm Jakub. I'm currently an undergraduate student studying maths and physics. I'm also working as an Open Web Fellow at Absentia, where I'm running different science token simulations for science token communities, so token engineering for science essentially. And I've also been a contributor at Algovera. I'm really excited about the decentralization of AI. I'm specifically interested in like the cross section between neuroscience and AI and the research that's being done in that field. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I guess I'll pass it on to Casey.
Thanks. From Australia. Also have a background like Richard in machine learning. Been doing that for about 5 years in a variety of different fields, and about 4 or 5 months ago switched into Web3 and haven't really looked back. We've founded a brand called Spectra.art with a few colleagues. So we've launched 2 collections so far, launching a 3rd one in 2 days, and then a 4th one in about a week. So it's been a pretty busy time, but having a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to be here.
Who do you want to pass to?
Oops, pass to Robin.
Hey everyone, so I'm the CEO and CTO of Data Union. My background is in machine learning. I started around 10 years ago, worked my way up in the enterprise world from programmer to, in the end, program manager at Rolls-Royce. So worked in the automotive industry. Had some teams and then later teams of teams working for me. Now I have an engineering team at Data Union, and we're working on making it possible that people can create data sets together and make them AI ready. So we're working right now with image data. We have a platform there already online, finishing out details in the end, like now how to sell it, like data marketplace, all based on Ocean Protocol. And yeah, I'm working already for a long time with Richard, also on his last project. And yeah, I like the idea of Algovera, and we're trying to work as closely as possible together. We try to make the data, Algovera tries to make the algorithms. In the end, I think both is necessary to make good algorithms in the future. But let's see how we can collaborate there. Anyways, yeah, that's me, and I'm passing on to Dave.
Hi everyone, my name is Dave Potter. I'm a software engineer. My background is in safety critical software engineering, and primarily in the rail industry. I'm based just up the road from you, Hitesh, by the sounds of it. I'm up in Chippenham. I'm CTO of a company called Bubble. We're trying to build privacy-focused Web3 software for your average everyday user. That's the vision anyway. And essentially it moves the file permissions from a private server onto a blockchain, which allows things like decentralized applications to have file permissions as part of their blockchain-based model. And we've been going for some time. I'm just interested to know what you guys are up to, whether there's any way I can help, or at the very least just to expand my horizons a little and see what you're doing.
Can I just interject 1 second? Dave, are you the Dave that works with Wish too, Monkey Tiger? Or,
yes. Yes.
Okay, I wanted to have a call with you at some point. Maybe we can connect, because I think what you're doing is very important.Maybe we could also leverage your technology for our project, because yeah, I think there's a big overlap. Now it clicks, that you are the guy. So just yeah, wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Yes, excellent. That would be good. We'll try and connect offline. So I guess I will pass on to Dr. PRK.
Hi, I'm Prakash, and I've been in the medtech space for quite a bit. I'm a clinical doctor who's into a bit of medical engineering. been in the medtech space since 2015, a bit of medical AI products. At least in the past couple of years, being a crypto native, I was more curious on private AI. So I think that's when I kind of stumbled onto Ocean Protocol as well. And the past few months have been really a fun ride, and it's fun to navigate through the ecosystem and meet all you guys. Yeah.
And Arpit, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you there, Arpit?
I guess he's AFK. Not sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we can continue then.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, great intros. So yeah, like I was saying, this is going to be more of a brainstorming session. I guess like for people who have seen some of the other hacking sessions, we started off like with brainstorming. We didn't code at all for like the first 2 weeks and stuff when we were just trying to map out the problem. And then once we had mapped out the problem, we like started working on notebooks and things like that. And now we're reaching the end of the coding and we're kind of getting to the brainstorming phase where like we start to think about what's next, I suppose. And so we just submitted a proposal to Ocean, for example, where we just talked about like building an app to serve the model that we built, for example. And as far as I can tell, this is like quite unknown territory. Maybe Robin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if there are any apps that use the Ocean marketplace as a backend, for example. And so like, yeah, I guess they have like an API that you can use in the backend. But apart from that, there's nothing else really to work with. And so it's unexplored territory, and we want to figure out like what's the easiest and quickest and most valuable way that we can, you know, showcase the algorithms that we develop as this community. So maybe what I might do is share my screen for a second, and then I have to go over to this PC. Give me a sec.
Okay. Maybe I can add while you're working on.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I mean the thing with Ocean Protocol and the computer data is like, I mean, basically you can run any algorithm then that is private, you know, like you send it some input, and like this input part is somehow not really documented by them. They are saying, and we were talking about this like this week, no, it was last week with the VP of engineering from Ocean Protocol, and I mean like this is very interesting because if your model can stay secret, you know, and somebody can send an input, for example, now in a generative art case, you know, like let's say VQGAN and Clip, somebody sends you a prompt, you produce the result according to their specification, and then you deliver this back to them. Like, I mean, I think that this is a very interesting use case because like then you can start, like everybody can start, you know, making their own art, experimenting with that, and paying us money, you know, so that we basically do that. We can then make specialized models here and start selling these, you know, like you could train, for example, on a specific kind of, or like just animals or something, you know, that then the results, from my point of view, maybe Casey, you will correct me, but probably if you have a differently trained VQGAN, then also the outputs in the end will look different, you know, like, so that might be very interesting for a lot of people, you know, to then have customized models, maybe even for certain kind of, professions, like maybe there's some architects who want to have something really specialized on furniture or something like this, or like are like designers who want to have more like fashion oriented models in the background to create new designs or something like this. But in the end, like the whole system with Ocean works like this. You have this computer data in your own premise. There's your whole model and everything is running there. All your data can be placed there, and the user comes and they connect to the marketplace. To that, they pay you some tokens, and then like the job is started. A result is then given back to the user. So and also you can on data you could authorize new algorithms to run on the data. But in the end, like the problem is that we are facing here right now is that this is not really well documented. They themselves did not implement this in their marketplace. They want to do this in the next 1 or 2 months, something like this. This was their timeline, but yeah, it's not there yet. But we still want to push, you know. So like that's, I mean, Richard, you guys, the proposal is very you know, daring, because you're saying, okay, we'll do it. But in the end, nobody knows if it's possible. So like, yeah, I have some engineers now working on this. So like we're setting up all of our stuff that this works out. And the engineers now trying to do this on the command line. without the web interface. Another engineer is looking into their code to find out, okay, are there already some artifacts where they started to do the connection? And if not, then we are going to also work on that. But yeah, I think that's my current state of information, you know, where it's going, where we're standing right now. And like my vision or my idea would be like, can we do this with Gradio app, you know, like the one that Hugging Faces is using? Because I mean, that's what like 50,000 machine learning engineers are using to access their models, and somehow everybody understands it. You know, on Twitter, the people are creating their outputs of that. And if you could then interlink this with the Ocean marketplace, you would have like a perfect interface. You know, you can then start monetizing your models, and the user can still play with that. So that I think that would be a great solution. Yet, but yeah, how to get there? I think that's where we are right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like the idea was always to like monetize the different models so that money comes in, which can then be like distributed to the community. It can go into a community treasury, and then you have this, you know, feedback loop of money coming back in. And so like there's different options. So like the first option is just to sell the model as an API, almost like B2B or something like that. And we can probably do that at the moment. So we could, you know, approach like an art DAO or something like that and say, we have this generative algorithm. You guys don't know much about machine learning, so we can act as machine learning consultants, and we can do like a profile picture project for you and generate like 10,000 unique profile pictures for your art DAO. So that's something we can probably do at the moment. But and then the next option is like to actually like go to users and have something like a web app. Okay, so like Robin was saying, one option is to use the Hugging Face. Hugging Face Spaces is like an app marketplace. And so data scientists come up with models, and then they use Hugging Face Spaces to like demo their model. And you can like provide different input parameters and stuff like that. And so if we could somehow create an app on Hugging Face Spaces that used Ocean as the backend, I think that would be really interesting. I'm not sure how like happy Hugging Face would be, because we'd almost be like adding a monetization layer in the back end of what they might think is open source software, for example. Like, I don't know, for example, if you like added, I don't know, Stripe payments to a Hugging Face Space app, would they be happy with that? I'm not too sure.
You know that Hugging Faces is monetizing by selling the hardware to the people. So like if you want to do it commercially, you know, if you are a business and not a private person, you have paid them money and they host your model and the inference and the training. So yeah, it seems like it might have something as a character of a competition in a way, you know. But I think like having the kind of same setup, you know. So like somebody who does something with Hugging Faces can then also do it easily with Ocean protocol. I mean, that's not something, you know, that really would be messing with Hugging Faces. It would just give their users another option. You know, now we can also do it over there and then make money out of it.
Yeah. So that's one option. Hugging Face. Can we integrate with an existing app marketplace? And the other option is like just do it ourselves from scratch. Create like a back end that uses the Ocean marketplace APIs, and then like create a front end using React or something like that. So I don't know. Does anyone want to jump in there before we go on further?
I wanted to quickly ask if I can, whether you guys have managed to get computer data working on just perhaps on a local server using Ocean's computer data software.
Yes, so we got everything working except for retrieving the results from computer data before, and it sounds like they just fixed the bug. Actually, I ran, let me see if it's fixed. So they said that they fixed it. Yeah, it looks like they fixed it actually. Okay, good. So yeah, so like it was ongoing for 2 weeks. There was a bug in like the provider backend or something like that, where you couldn't retrieve the results after the computer data job. So I just got onto them again yesterday, saying, you know, it's been 2 weeks, what's going on? And it seems like they fixed it. So yeah, I can run that there. And so like, yeah, basically we've got the whole the training using computer data working, and we've done it using our generative algorithm as well. So like that was training. So I guess what we need with our web app is like just inference. We don't need to run training, so we can train it, and then we just need to set up a new algorithm that serves the model. So that'll be a very similar algorithm. It'll just like load pre-trained weights, and then I guess it'll be hosted, the compute will be provided by the Ocean provider, or we can like, you can only do 60 seconds worth of compute with that. So we might need to set up our own compute provider with like AWS credits or something. But yeah, I'd be pretty confident that we can do that part with the compute to data, no problem.
Good.
So I mean, we've been setting up our own provider. So like maybe you guys can also use ours. I mean, we have a GPU and no 60 seconds, so might be advantageous. But yeah, we would like to experiment here with people hosting then algorithms also on our Ocean service operator. The problem is only like, you know, like we are going to pay for that, but we have some we have some credits that we can start with experimenting in the beginning. But in the end, like, yeah, so this would be then some kind of a charge, you know, that is part of the algorithm charge, right? It's you know, the compute that is going to be used in the end. But yeah, we can discuss about this later after we get it to run.
Any more comments on the like approach, like Hugging Face Spaces or web app?
Yeah, I think in general it would be a good idea to integrate directly to the Ocean Marketplace. So like, I mean, if you're in the Ocean Marketplace, you know, like there you can publish an algorithm. So like then people, or you could also buy it there. And then if you then would opt at the option to pass parameters to the algorithm execution, you know, then you could have something like the same way it is in the Gradio app. Like you could upload an image, or you could set some parameters. And if you then buy it there, then it gets directly passed. So like you would just have to do some modifications of the Ocean Marketplace, and you don't have to build a whole app from scratch. So like, I mean, we've been working with the marketplace for around about 1 year now, and their code is very well structured, and it's really usable. So like you can save a lot of time here, and the benefit is then somehow you could also then back channel it into their project, and then basically the whole ecosystem can have this functionality in a way to do this kind of thing. So like, yeah, there's also something earmarked for this. So like if it would be possible to do that, there's also a grant for this open by Ocean protocol to pay for the development time.
Yeah, definitely. And just like based on what you're saying there, Robin, like Hugging Face is not like, they're basically a marketplace as well. So like, just for those who haven't looked at it yet, this is the homepage. And then you have like data sets, algorithms, and spaces, which is basically apps. So this is quite similar to like the Ocean Marketplace. Do I have Ocean open here? Like if you go to the Ocean Marketplace, it's basically just a collection of, you know, data sets. And you can also look at like algorithms. So both like similar ideas. Just that Hugging Face is like made for data scientists or whatever. And so when you're on Hugging Face, you can select data sets, for example, and go through a list of data sets. And like, yeah, this is the like Cypher 10 data set. It's a really like well-known computer vision data set. And when you click into the Cypher 10 data set, you just get like your data set summary and stuff. And like what's cool that they give you that the Ocean Marketplace doesn't give you is like a data set preview. So you can actually like explore the data set and stuff. And so I was like playing around with adding, yeah, I like set up an Algovera account on Hugging Face and made a CryptoPunks data set, and still trying to get the data set summary, sorry, the data set preview working. But like you can see now there's like an Algovera account. So we could like put up some of our data sets, we could put up some of our models here as well. And if we could have these data sets and models served by the Ocean backend, I think that would be really cool. And like how you do this as well is, so like to get this preview working, for example, see if I can find it. I don't think I have it open. Oh yeah, here's the Cypher 10. So if you have a data set on Hugging Face, for example, the README is just like the description of the data set that you saw, and then you can have like the dataset.py file. And this is, you can like define some functions that serve that generate the examples that you see. here, for example. And so that's one cool feature, is exploring the data sets. Then like if you look at the algorithms, for example, you can search all these different algorithms on the marketplace. And so when you click, if you click into an algorithm like a ResNet 50, for example, it can give you like some description. Again, this is just like the README file. And then you can like train. So they use Amazon SageMaker, or like there's a deploy option and stuff. And I was thinking like, how cool would it be if you could select train from the, and then it was like ocean compute to data was an option here or something like that. I think that would be really cool. And then like in terms of spaces, this is what the spaces look like. And you can like select whichever app, and these are all made by like users and stuff. So you can choose like a GAN option and like upload the images, and then like run the model, runs the model in the back end, and then it's going to like produce a result. And so like what would be really cool for Ocean eventually, like, or maybe we would like fork the marketplace, but at the moment, like it doesn't look that nice for data scientists, right? So, you know, we could make this look nicer. You could like, I guess you can kind of select data sets here and it shows the data sets. You can select algorithms and it shows the algorithms. But maybe like we could have an app as well, like an app marketplace. So these apps would be on top of the algorithms and the data sets, for example, which I think would be really cool. So yeah, like there's some cool functionality that a data science marketplace gives you that Ocean Marketplace doesn't currently give you. And so the question is like, can we put Ocean in the back end of Hugging Face, or like Hugging Face on top of Ocean or something like that, and get like the best of both? But yeah, so that's what Hugging Face looks like, I suppose. I'm just trying to think, do I have an app? Does anyone want to jump in there? But yeah, so these Python files, this is where like,
if you look at this Cypher 10, where is it? Is it just, can you have everything on GitHub, or what's the precondition? I mean, what did you have to do with your data to make it possible that it's visible there?
Yeah, so this, they just like, they give a data URL, and then in the generate example, well, okay, so like in split generators, they download the data, I guess. They split it into train and test. And then in generate examples, there's like a drop down menu where you can choose, like, do you want to see the train images or the test images? And then, yeah, it just shows that it does like pickle.load. So like this just downloads from a URL. So what I was thinking was you could just download the sample data from the Ocean Marketplace and then just display that sample data. Because if it's a private data set, we just want to show them the sample data, right? So I think it should be quite easy to do with a data set, just to have the Ocean Marketplace in the back end, just instead of downloading from this URL, you just want to download from the Ocean Marketplace, the address that they give you.
In our data portal, we basically create previews of our data. So like, I mean, they are watermarked and compressed and like downsized, you know, so like, I mean, then the image is not the original image anymore. So like, it makes still sense to buy it, but you can have an impression of what it's about. So, but yeah, we do this via REST API. But yeah, I mean, like this looks kind of straightforward, right? I mean, the question would just be like, if you change this now, you know, to do this differently, would it still work? But I mean, that's, of course, you can just try. We can just try this, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I think we can check this out pretty quickly. I'm just trying to see if I haven't actually looked at the Python file for a model yet. Maybe there is no. Yeah, I don't know how we do it for an algorithm, I guess.
There's no GitHub for that.
I don't see.
I mean, the process would be like, try to make your own space, try to make your own model, try to make your own data set, and then see what are they asking, you know, like what should you, where do you have to, do you have to upload it directly to the page? Okay, then maybe it's not such a good idea. You know, then they are your compute to data provider. So like, I mean, they have then your all your model and all your data. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see an option for GitHub here, so I don't know how they do the algorithms. I think it's pretty easy for the apps as well. I was looking at the Gradio docs, and it looks fairly straightforward. And like you can run the apps in a Jupyter Notebook or a Google Colab, for example. And so you can imagine a notebook where the app would only run if it checks your wallet and you have like the tokens that you need or something like that. So yeah, I guess like just from my quick looking into Hugging Face, I can't see any roadblocks, but I also like don't know all of the steps yet, and so there's only one way to find out.
Can we try to create a new data set or something? I mean, you right in the last technical session we had, there were all of the parts already. Yeah. So maybe we can just try to upload something and then ask.
Yeah. Well, I did that.
You
did
have
that
an account, right? You did this. You did this, and what was it asking for you for the data set? Did you have to upload the whole data, or how did you?
Well, like I guess you define it in that Python file. So there's like, I think some people actually, it's kind of like a GitHub repo for data sets. So like you can pull this locally and like edit the README file, and then you just do like a push command and it like updates the data set. But I think what a lot of people do is in the repo for your data set, that's where people store the data itself. So you could have like a folder for train, a folder for test, and then just have all of the images in the repo itself. But like I said, for the Cypher 10, I don't know where it's gone. For the Cypher 10 model, I showed you the Python file and they just download from a URL. And so it seems like you have the option of actually uploading the images or downloading from the URL. And then they have some smart like caching or something like that as well. So I guess there's only one way to find out, and it's just to like try do it on Hugging Face. So like that's what I'm going to be hacking on. And like that is probably the quickest way, rather than doing like the back end, front end, and all that sort of stuff. Like that's going to be a bit more involved.
We are working on this anyways with Data Union, so don't. I mean, we can work in parallel on this. Like if you find an easy way, that's much better. That's great if it can be included there. But I mean, we are working on our own solution anyway. So yeah, and then we can still check in. Like how it has been going for both sides. So like yeah.
Yeah, cool. And like, yeah, just in terms of that as well, they have, like, this is the provider API. So maybe first, like, just coming from my data science background, like this is a really good tutorial for building a REST API with your PyTorch models, for example. So like, they use Flask, for example, and like they tell you how to define an app. And it's all like pretty straightforward, and like they actually give you like a repo of like a demo app, for example. So like app.py, like it's just a Flask app, get prediction, transform image, all this sort of stuff. And so this is really handy to have, like this toy example of an app, and it's something that Ocean don't have at the moment. All they give are these like they give you the API documentation, and like I think they get like it's supposed to work. They mentioned Flask somewhere. I can't remember where it was. But yeah, like basically just working with these. So like obviously you can figure out how to make an app from this API documentation, but what is way handier is if you have like an example of an app and you can just kind of build on top of it. So I think would be really cool would be if we could create like a toy example of an app, but using the Ocean API, for example. And that means that people could just clone could fork that repo and just like build their own app and stuff rather than having to look through the docs. So I think that would be a really useful value add. And so, yeah, I guess that would be like the more lengthy route is like develop this backend, create like a, like something in the Algovera repo as like a template of an app. And then like the next step would be like front end. Casey, what was your experience with app building before? How did you find it? I remember you saying it wasn't your favorite task.
Yeah, I guess more web development with React that I've got experience in, rather than sort of iOS apps and those sorts of things. They're very feasible to sort of turn React into a framework to build dApps and connect all sorts of backends. So really interested to explore that with Ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would be a massive task, and potentially quite valuable in the long run to have something a bit more customizable and extensible than being sort of locked into Hugging Face or something. But then Hugging Face certainly seems like a good path for a quick trial.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Hugging Face path is great for getting Hugging Face people using Ocean, but like that wouldn't be my first choice if we weren't trying to like reach out to the Hugging Face community. So I think it's probably good to pursue both directions. And like what we ultimately want to do is like make it as easy as possible for data scientists to launch apps. And so it should be really easy to do it using a framework they know, like Hugging Face, or if they want to do it from scratch, they should be able to like fork this repo and just add their models on top, right? So yeah. Yeah, so that's like the two different options there. And yeah, I guess the next question was like, what do we do with the images that are output from the models? Like, and the simplest solution is to just put them up on OpenSea, for example. And then there's a more involved solution where, and I think I tweeted about this, like we could build our own NFT marketplace basically on top of, and this NFT marketplace would be dedicated to just outputs from machine learning models. So whether that's like images, video, or text, for example, and like, so why not just use OpenSea? Like maybe OpenSea is fine, but it's a different use case, right? It's like OpenSea is supposed to be for like, I guess, artists to put up and creators to put up NFT images. And maybe the requirements of that are different to the requirements of an NFT marketplace for machine learning model outputs. So like maybe in terms of value generation or like value flow back to, you know, data providers or something like that, maybe it's easier to, like maybe you could hack OpenSea to make the value flow back to the data providers, but maybe it's actually better to build a different framework of an NFT marketplace that like is built by design to do that. So I don't know, what's everyone's thoughts? Like, how easy would it be to just put up like write some code that like publishes stuff on OpenSea, and like is it a terrible idea to like build your own NFT marketplace for machine learning outputs?
I can comment on the OpenSea one. At least would be very easy to sort of generate all your images, put them on somewhere like RPFS, and then connect a smart contract to that RPFS link and create an OpenSea collection. That's sort of, you know, a day's work. Building a marketplace maybe more than a day's work.
Okay, yeah. Okay, nice. So we could just, in theory, like in the back end of our Hugging Face app, we could have some code or maybe a button that says like publish to OpenSea or something like that. I guess we're restricted by the Hugging Face framework there. But then if we had a web app, like for sure, we could just have a publish on OpenSea button or something like that.
I mean, like if you think in a long run, and you think about, okay, maybe then it's not just art, you know, the output could also be some other data structures, you know, and then somehow then of course this marketplace idea becomes more interesting. Question is just like, okay, how does it differ from an Ocean marketplace, you know, like the data marketplace that is there anyways? Could you not just hack it in a little bit, you know, like if you have then an image output, you then like showcase this, you know, like now you have to go to a specific tab, look for the results of the computation. Maybe that should be just done differently, you know, that you have, it's easier accessible. And then next to that, you can just put the button and then you publish it to OpenSea or wherever the people want. But then like, I mean, the output could be very complex in the future. Maybe you are outputting models, you know, like you're training models, like it's a model factory, you know, like it trains a model to generate NFTs, for example, you know, and then like if this has generated, then there's a button, okay, publish this here on the marketplace again to then have it used by other people or something like this, you know. So then you would have much more complex flows. But I think that these complex flows would be probably easily integrated into the Ocean marketplace. And I think that's also a good start as a base app, because it has it connects already to all these Ocean APIs, you know. So you can just like use the code and modify how this looks like and how it works. But you don't have to start from scratch again and write a whole React app and all of this from scratch.
Yeah.
There's also the possibility of using sort of like an NFT marketplace boilerplate. There are a couple of, I think, projects on GitHub where they essentially have all the front-end framework for an NFT marketplace. And if it's the case that we just need to hack it for our use case, it being particularly to which data contributors and which contributors to the model, then it could again reduce a lot of work in terms of building out the web application for the marketplace. We don't have to do everything from scratch. I think there are a couple of sort of boilerplate templates that work on Ethereum NFT marketplaces. So that could potentially be one way of doing it as well.
Yeah, and all of this ties in with, I don't know if anyone's familiar with like weights and biases as well, but it's like it's a way for machine learning people to like keep track of the experiments they've run and like the output images of those experiments. And so like, I think even like apart from all this, even outside of NFTs and stuff, a weights and biases for Web3, I think would be really interesting. Like a layer on top of Ocean that like does something similar, but like what weights and biases tracks could be like kept as NFTs, like even maybe the training loss curves and stuff, like do you want to turn them into NFTs and stuff? And so like I can definitely see how maybe like an NFT marketplace for machine learning outputs would need different functionality to an image, like NFT marketplace that is predominantly images and videos.
Yeah, I think in a machine learning marketplace for Web3, what would be one of the prime functionalities would be transfer learning from my point of view. You know, like you maybe spend a lot of money to make a first model and you spend a lot of GPU power, but then, you know, you just start selling that and somebody else wants to refine it in a different way. Okay, at the moment, everybody does this with these open models, right? So like EGG or something like this, everybody uses these as the base models. Now, if you make something commercially and a marketplace around commercially created models for transfer learning, I think that this would be, yeah, could be very lucrative. You know, you can go from basically a pre-trained model into your fine-tuned model in a matter of hours and with a little GPU and little money, and much faster than if you go completely from scratch all the time. So, and if it's an open world, basically everybody can do that, then yeah, you will probably have a ton of pre-trained models after a certain amount of time.
That was something we were discussing earlier as well. What would be really cool is like if you had these automatic pipelines that would fine tune to certain tasks. Like if you would train like a general model, then you could just pass it through like the framework, and it would automatically like change the last layers and automatically train them on like benchmark data sets so that it would open up, so that the end user would have to do even less fine tuning, and they could use like really good models basically out of the box.
So I mean, like with Data Union, our idea was like we accelerate the process. You start like, okay, I have this problem. I say, okay, we want to have this data now. The people go collect the data for you around the world. And then you go ahead and you go to have the pipelines, you know, like, okay, so now, okay, this is this and this kind of a problem. We have this pre-trained model. Now we refine it on your new data that was created for you. Okay, afterwards, you have a great model. You can start using this for your own use case. You can start selling it on the marketplace. The data that you have now ordered, everybody who has created that will earn from it in the future. The overall data pool was extended. Now somebody else can solve problems with that as well. everybody wins together, yeah, and you save the most amount of money. So you will get it probably for the best price possible in the whole market, because like it's a distributed system. The people who do it will do it for less money, because they also are shareholders then in the solution. If you want to pay them even less, you give them a share in your algorithm too. So then they are even incentivized, because the algorithm will in the future also create a value. So then you have like probably the best price in the whole industry. I don't know, like how you can beat that, from a Web 2 point of view, Web 2 point of view, yeah.
Just thought of a really interesting thing there as well, like in terms of NFTs, like they're trying to, I think they're still working on NFTs that can like incorporate, that can change based on real data and stuff, which is a really interesting idea. Maybe that's already been done, I'm not sure. But what would be really cool would be like, you could own an NFT that is generated by a model. And like, as people continue to work on the model, the like output of the NFT improves. So maybe like the models are really bad in the first instance, the generative models, but you own this NFT and you know that like the team is going to continue working on the latest generative models. And so even though like your first image is like pixelated and terrible, maybe in 10 years, like it's like, super HD or something like that. And like, yeah, so like if for the more difficult machine learning models at the moment, it's like 3D shape estimation that can create like human shapes and stuff like that. Like those algorithms aren't that high res at the moment, but you could buy like a avatar of yourself in 3D, for example, which would be like quite low resolution at the moment. But like in the sellers of the NFT would state that, as our models improve, so too will your NFT improve. And I guess this is kind of related to Alethea AI as well, because Robin, you can say more, but like, don't they, you can basically, it's like an avatar that you can speak to, and as you speak to it, the conversational AI improves. So like your NFT is constantly like improving in conversation and stuff like that, which is a really interesting idea that maybe you can apply to lots of different machine learning models.
I mean, this Alethea AI people have done it in a very clever way. So I mean, they have a base model based on GPT-3, I think, or something similar. And now they sold to the community in an event like pods. They come in 3 different stages, like the basic pod, better pod, and then the master pod or something like this. And then you can start training together. So like now, I think today it ended the shared training session. So I think 200,000 discussions were made between people and their current AI. And then like they have an algorithm to determine who won the discussion battle. So like and in the end, like they now generate a lot of data. So like now their algorithm has already given them a qualification, how good it is, and they're using this now to retrain the model. So like they were constantly retraining it and making it better, having different topics over time. But like the people were buying these pods, to get a part of that. And now they kind of finance themselves with that. I think they got like 800 Ethereum or something in one day. So like, if you think about it, this is a good chunk of cash, like if you want to create if you want to finance your project, I mean, this is somehow an interesting way to do that. But what is the consequence out of this? So like now you can take this pod and connect it to one of your NFTs. So like they have 10 different projects. For example, Bored Apes, or like this major projects, the big ones, which are expensive. And then the AI, conversational AI, is going to be adjusted by you. So like you make a manual training to make it even more personalized, but then your avatar is connected to this pod. So the avatar starts talking, to you. And then according to your level in the individual training, you can then have it do tasks for you. So like it can start drawing pictures for you. It can start manning your Twitter account, like just messaging and talking to the people. You can then later also have it can battle then other avatars in conversation battles and stuff like this. So like, yeah, they build all of this around it. But what I really like about this is that like you have an algorithm, you have a start, you give people the option to have an NFT. And then you get them also involved, by them investing. They also want to help you train the AI. And then you can get them to generate the data, to interact with the AI, to make it better. And the benefit from that is that they can use it in the future for themselves, for their purposes. It's like with the generative art model, you could also say, okay, guys, I mean, it's not so good now, but let's all work with it And in the end, we say, okay, this was good, this was not so good. We want to fine tune in this direction, in that direction. And by having this NFT, they later get the advantage to be able to use it then all the time or something like this. You know? So, but Alethea also says, like, if what you're going to do with the model is going to require GPU, you're going to pay for that too. So like, I mean, you know, you paid to get there, to get access, but you're even going to pay for the usage again. It's like, I mean, and the people accept this. So like, I think that this might be a good model to finance also then the development of algorithms. For example, you tell the people, okay, like it's an exclusive club, you know, you are basically, you are allowed to train it. Not everybody is going to do that. But in the end, like, yeah, I think that this is an interesting angle to solve this whole problem.
So just a question with regards to that, as you said, like as the model update. So basically, in that case, like you kind of keep the input. Basically, like you don't like the NFT or whatever it is. Like it's not the output of the network, and it's rather than the input. No,
it's an access token. Just because you have the NFT, you are allowed to interact with the system. So I had to stake, I bought some of these pods, I had to stake them, I had to then prove with my wallet when I connected to the system that I have them, and then I was able to do the work, to do the conversation with the AI, you know. And then what I was doing with the AI, was recorded by their system, they own it, you know, I don't have any share in that. But basically, I even paid to get access to do that. But I mean, like all with the vision to, in the long term, have this connect this then to one of my NFTs that I have, which are supported. So yeah, basically I'm now, and of course what they also give you is they have their own token. So like for all the training sessions I do, if I win the conversation, I get 10 tokens. If I lose, I get 1 token. So I also got some tokens now, and like these tokens are later used to update your NFT and stuff like this. So I mean, I think it's a very clever way to have these NFTs for the people, you know. So that they can.
No, I was more saying about this idea of like, you know, like for the gun, you know,
okay.
Like as the model improves, like your output will improve, but that means that, you know, the input has to be the same. So yeah, like, because like, for example, to give the latent space to the gun and then the output. So you kind of have to, I guess, like then in that case, like you kind of keep the input rather than the output, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I was also asking on Twitter if there's already something like this, a standard prompt set, you know, like where people compare these guns to, you know, like if you can prompt the gun via clip, if there's somebody who made a standard set, you know, like, so just I can compare, like, is my model now better or worse, or like, do I like the result of this model better or something like this? But I'm not aware that any of this exists. Maybe Casey, do you know anything about this? That somebody's comparing the prompts? No, maybe we're still too early for that, potentially. Yeah. But yeah, maybe this NFT drops, you know, like would be something where you can. I mean, like I think at the beginning there's a lot of voluntary activity here, but like in the long run, it would be great, you know, if people can here also earn their living from working on these algorithms, right? And maybe then this kind of NFT drops that give you some advantage would be something to keep in mind, you know, that the people can buy this, and then they have some specific rights, and also in the long term some major benefits, and then they would be interested. And like this initial investment also gives them skin in the game, you know, and then by making them stake it, so they can not just take it out and sell it again, you know, then it also binds them to the project, and then they're kind of you know, like setting themselves up to get involved. And that's something, yeah, that really works well, I think.
Yeah, but like what really excites me as well is the fact that like what's the difference between Web3 and Web2? Web2 is like all of these walled gardens, and so like Web2 has AI, but like I can only use the Google AI when I'm in the Google walled garden, for example. But like in Web3, if everything is interoperable, your AI could be interoperable like as you like move through Web3. So for example, like Robin, we've talked about like the anonymization AI before. So maybe you have like an AI wallet, and you have bought an NFT, which gives you access to this anonymity algorithm. And maybe that's a collection of algorithms, for example. So then maybe like you're moving across Web3 and you go to like the Web3 Zoom and you're going on a call, and maybe this anonymity AI like blurs your face, for example, and maybe it like masks your voice as well. And then maybe you go to like the Web3 Twitter, and Web3 Twitter checks your AI wallet. You have this anonymity algorithm. And so maybe it like, it changes your speech so that it's not recognizable and stuff. And so you could have this AI, like almost like an AI assistant that follows you around all of these different Web3 platforms and like provides you some service no matter where you are, and not just in like a single walled garden.
I think that's a really good idea. But like you will have to, first of all, you have to make the infrastructure work in the backend. But then of course you have to also have the support. But I mean, like, for example, the ENS domains are also now supported all over the Web3 space. You know, so like if you would be working in a similar way to apply to some kind of standard, I mean, it would be cool if you could like just in a Zoom call, I could now switch to a filter, and that's like a GAN now, and it just like, you know, like it can just work on the image. I can just select a part of the screen. I can just have this like as a toolbox, you know, of NFTs that I bought, or like if I contributed to them, maybe I got them for a better price, you know, like later the access is much more expensive. So like, because I was one of the early people, I got it cheap and I was working to make it better. And then now I got the discount or something. And then you have a community around that as well.
Yeah, very cool. Cool. Yeah, we're getting up to the hour and it's a Friday, so maybe we'll start to wrap up. But yeah, I guess to summarize, I think we agreed that it would be good to pursue both the Hugging Face direction and the web app direction. So like, I'm going to keep hacking away on the Hugging Face, and like, yeah, I guess I'm going to put up some issues on the Kanban board. Like maybe I can try and break it down into different tasks and stuff. I'll keep hacking away on the meantime, and if anyone else wants to hack away, just I guess check in on the Kanban board. And maybe like I'll start firing different people questions about some of the different aspects and stuff. But yeah, and then on the DAO front, like I said, we're gonna like launch the DAO probably after Sunday or something like that. Maybe Monday of next week, and then maybe like hold our first DAO meeting of all of the contributors for the algorithm, where we like try and decide on the direction. And I'm not sure. Oh yeah, Tesh, we were saying we are for the DAO, because we're also starting a grants round soon for people to work on different projects. So we're going to be giving out, well, hopefully if we get the ocean funding, I guess it might be contingent on that, but we're planning to give out like $5,000 to like to people who submit proposals to Algovera for like an interesting data science plus Web3 project, just like a one-page proposal, like really simple. And we were saying we're planning to use 1,000 of that, and we're going to give that to the DAO, the Generative Art DAO. And then we can all like figure out what to use that for. Like maybe we use it to fund development for something that's really needed to start to monetize the algorithm, for example. We don't really know, but like, yeah, we want the community to decide what is the best way to use that $1,000, and maybe like hold a vote and just see how the whole process goes, I suppose. So yeah, I guess we'll keep you updated on that next week. And yeah, I don't know, did anyone want to add anything or any questions on that? All sounds good. Cool. Everyone's just thinking of that like Friday beer, I think. So I'm going to have one now. But cool. Yeah, thanks for joining. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, on a Friday as well. And thanks for being flexible with the days and stuff.
Yeah, kudos to Casey for staying up so late as well. Extra props for him.
It's probably 2 a.m. there now. Yeah, crazy.
Mad.
Oh, good. It's exciting stuff.
Sweet. Okay, we'll wrap up there then, Richard, and I'll keep you posted, everyone posted on the updates.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, team.
Bye.